Hi, this is Camilla Blossom, and every equinox and solstice, I do an oracle reading from my deck, The Sacred Spirits of Gaia. So here we are. I will not be picking cards here today. I was tuning in a few days ago. Apologize for my voice. I've been just getting over being sick. Um, and this card flew out, and it just seemed like the perfect timely energy to invite Pine Tree in to weave space for peace. And first, I want to just check in and see how you're doing. It's been a very crazy few weeks, and especially this week. And so I just want to send a lot of love and compassion your way. I know I've been getting over being sick and also just feeling this deep urgency on behalf of Gaia, the planet, and ourselves to really show up as embodied beings of peace. And so it felt so perfect when this card came through, the pine tree came through. And so I want to talk a little about pine. I want to bring in that energy, talk about the solstice, and how we can work with that. So first of all, the summer solstice where we are, or where I am, I should say, in the northern hemisphere is return of the light. It's the lightest time of year, whereas those in the southern hemisphere, it's your dark time. And so you'll be receiving more light as each day goes on, and we'll be receiving less light. And so I can see and really experience this energy with breath that to me, it's always such a powerful time of change. And as it turned out, I just did this big trip back to my birthland, and also got sick and moving into a new home, getting my keys tomorrow. So for me, oftentimes the solstice, the equinox, is a time of great change. And sometimes that can show up very physically, like it is for me this year. Other times it's very internal. And so some of you in the northern hemisphere may be feeling it more as the external, things really changing physically and outwardly in your life. While some of you in the southern hemisphere may be feeling it with that winter solstice more internally and more changes going there. But of course, I think we're all feeling it in all directions, inward or outward. So go with it. Also to recognize that this is a pause. So if you have time on the solstice, which here in the Pacific Northwest is, I believe, in the evening for the 20th, June 20th. If you could take just a little time to pause, or do that with me right now, and imagine that Gaia, the earth, is breathing in her final breath of this cycle, this season. And now in this solstice time, she is in that pause, in that space between breath. And in a sense, it feels a little bit like our planet is in that about where are we going next? Like it's up to us, right? So really holding ourselves in that embodied peace that the pine brings forward. And so holding that sense of, okay, we're in this pause. And then when that pause is complete, Gaia, the universe, can take that out breath, and we move into the new cycle of the less light. That's sunlight. But of course, we are feeling lots of light. It's just the seasonal change. So really seeing that in-breath and the out-breath as a powerful moment of change. You know, I have noticed the last couple of days, particularly, the power of our breath. It feels to be when I'm breathing in, it's almost like the air has a quality that almost smells like ozone, like it's more powerful than it usually is. And as I breathe that in, it's activating my soul, my consciousness in a stronger way. So using your breath really powerfully right now with the trees, in breath, out breath with the trees, with nature, to elevate yourself into a higher consciousness, a consciousness that is pure and beautiful and loving, and is holding that energy of peace. So see if you can tune into that. And also know this is a great alignment, right? The solstice is our time to realign with the planet, with the galaxy, with everything. So use this as a time to realign with your wild nature. This is a time where we are meant to return to the trees, to the plants, to the animals, to the earth, to the waters, right? Like that's what's healthy here. I don't see a whole lot else going on um, in that greater picture. So the importance of our communities that are of this nature realm, but also, yeah, the nature itself. Like that's what will heal you. And so attuning to that wild nature, tuning back, letting that old matrix, these old patterns, this old stuff, it's all dissolving anyway. So we might as well pick up into remembering that we are part of nature ourselves, and remember that wildness. And I know it requires an enormous amount of trust. I'm with you. There's a lot of insecurity. There's a lot of confusion. There's a lot of fear. And us empaths, sensitives, those that feel a lot are feeling everything. I sure am. It's requiring a lot just to hold a beautiful presence and peace. All right, let's go into the pine tree. First, I'd like to just invite you to receive. This is a time we're in where it's not about pushing forward, forcing anything, making things happen. This is a time where the beingness of pine, whenever I'm with pine, I work a lot with ponderosa around here, but I know there's many kinds all over. And my birthplace in Rochester, New York is part of the Five Nations, or Hanasawi Sewanee Confederacy, formerly called the Iroquois. And I was born right at a marker of the west door of the keeper of the west door, the Seneca. So it's really interesting to recognize the founding principles that some believe they come from these nations, these indigenous people, and that they were sort of imprinting some of the early democracy. Unfortunately, some of those got distorted very early on, especially dismissing women and the grandmothers from the power. But that this energy continues and is held, and the pine is the tree of peace in that area. So there's a lot of information you can look up about that tree of peace as part of their wisdom. Maybe check out Braiding Sweetgrass as well, that beautiful book. And so the pine, just allowing yourself to receive that beautiful, beautiful peace energy, that calming energy, that healing energy. And it's also one that works really well if your inner child is feeling like she or he needs support, because the pine is very innocent. It's very sweet. It's very pure. And so it can really help our inner child feel like we can restore and return to that innocence. We can be with that peace. We can invite the unicorns and the white lilies and all those very pure essence of the feminine, of child energy, of sweetness and purity. So I invite you to allow that in, and let go of guilt and blame and some of those energies that may have been projected on you or you may have claimed as yours. So that's one healing that is very powerful with pine. If you have a pine tree near you, I invite you to go and sit with that tree, excuse me, and receive that energy from pine. And also, this is called the tree of peace, and we can allow it in the solstice to anchor these new light codes that are coming from the sun, they're coming from the cosmos, that are plasma. It's also very connected with fire and in harmony. So it can help you connect and open to your inner fire. The pine can also really wants us to connect with our star family. And also through the pine, you can connect with the pine tree, and it will help you connect with your galactic origin, your cosmic origin, your star family, those planets or star systems where you come from. Because this tree told me it is from the stars, and that you can see in this artwork that bringing this beautiful energy of the stars, of the sky, down onto the earth and ground it into peace here on this planet. Also, it connects us with our ancestors and also the elementals and fae. I had a vision about, well, this is the pine maiden, which I drew her picture, and then I actually wove this basket to connect more with pine and honor the pine. But also the fawn or the spirit of this tree is very interesting looking. I had a vision of it in the tops of the trees, and it was just this amazing being. I can't even describe what it looked like, but it was very ancient, very powerful, of peace, and inviting us humans to connect once again with that energy. And so I think in this time of what we're going through, it's also really important for us to welcome back peace, welcome back sweetness, joy, happiness. Being sick too, sometimes it's hard to feel the sweetness and tenderness, but it's so important for us to make it through these times, is to be able to really embody, to be grounded in our body and embody those qualities. So calling in that beautiful peace, that quiet, that stillness, that strength of pine. Another thing that I really learned about pine was it's very touchy-feely. It loves to be touched. It loves its boughs to be touched and hugged and moved. So when you do encounter pine trees, touch them, feel them, hug them. They really love that interaction, and they will help transmit and exchange energy and healing for you when you do that. So they wanted me to make sure you knew that. And then what I'd like to talk about now is the affirmation, which is weave spaces for peace. And I thought that might be a really great focus for all of us to learn and practice that embodiment of peace and do that more in our lives. So I kind of made a few ideas for how we might go about doing that. Because to me, peace is more than just this idea that there's no war. It's really an every moment, everyday practice of not being at war with yourself, not being triggered by other people, not being in conflict because you don't like what happened. Practicing peace in yourself. Inner peace is an ongoing practice. And so to think maybe bigger about what peace is to you in your life and how you can weave spaces of peace. What do those look like for you? I mean, that's a great question to ask. What are those? What are those spaces that you weave for peace? Or what are the ones you want to weave for peace? So one of them is discernment and who you spend time with. And I know this can be challenging for some, but if you're with people and you do not feel at peace, you feel at war, you feel like all your triggers come up, you feel like fighting them, you feel like this right and wrong polarity, then I would say that you're not weaving a place for peace with that person or with those people. So that might be something to really be discerning about. Who you spend time with, who makes you feel peaceful. How do we let go of attachment to drama? Making different choices, right? What are the choices that we make that can build and create more peace in our lives? And I know sometimes that's hard. It might mean quitting a job or changing your partnership. But if you're really truly wanting to care for yourself, love yourself, embody peace, then we have to look at all these decisions carefully right now. Staying with what is gentle, sweet, and body pampering. And I know this is a message I hear over and over from all my lightworker friends, from all my nature buddies, and all around, that the most important piece we can do right now is care for ourselves, because we need to be in a good place in order to share or help or be part of this magic that we're here to do. So taking care of ourselves, how do you do that and create peace? Gentle. The other thing might be changing things up. There might be some things in your life that just you realize don't work, the way you eat or the way you exercise or the patterns that you follow. Really think about, do they create peace in your life? Are you weaving spaces for peace? How you communicate with others. This is a big one. We've been taught a very challenging, aggressive, overpowering communication style. We've been taught not to really honor and listen to other people. There's a lot of interruptions, a lot of disconnect, a lot of difficulty with people just slowing down and listening to themselves or listening to others. And so I think that compassionate communication and different styles of communication, where you take time and care in your communication styles with everyone, you take time to listen. Even if you don't align with something, taking time to be tolerant, to listen to someone else's viewpoint is very important. And that's what the peacekeepers and mediators do. And then in this time we're in, this solstice is that choice of cocooning, of going in the cave, hiding. Like, there are times when it's important to just be by ourselves and feel what we need to feel, heal what we need to heal, allow what needs to come through, allow things to surface. I know it's not always comfortable, but these are really important ways to keep weaving peace, to keep holding that energy of love and truth and being. I just want to take one more moment too and see if there's any other messages the pine has. Feel free to open to your guidance, what the message is for you. And I'm just seeing it's almost like here I'm sitting in a chair and it's like right at the tops of your thighs. Um, it's almost a sense like really, I don't want to say buckle in, but really be strong in your grounding, even if you're just in a sitting position like I am or you are here. Um, like whatever position you're in, um, ground it more strongly into the earth, into her peace, into her knowing, into her truth, her beauty, her wisdom. And that, oh my God, what I'm seeing as a result of that is like incredible resilience and strength and support. And also this sense like no one can move you, like no one can budge what is your truth and embodied presence. And not like you're being rigid, but just that you're not going to be so overly influenced by what's going on around other people, what other people say, your family, whatever. The tree is just reminding you that it's got you, it can help you hold true, hold fast, hold strong in resilience to whatever changes come. And so this this reading from Sacred Spirits of Gaia is good until the equinox, which is in September. And so I invite you to work with these principles of peace, work with the pine tree, really work on or tune into embodying your own sense of peace. And maybe also like those places you don't feel peace, like how can you bring energy and love to those places within you that may be at war and conflict or don't see eye to eye. And so there's a lot of beautiful work you can do with your inner masculine and feminine, your child, different aspects of yourself in order to bring more peace into your life. So thank you so much for joining me, and have a beautiful solstice. I'll be moving into my new fairy grandmother cottage, I'm calling it, in Camas, Washington. And also to let you know, I am opening up and inviting more mentor clients. I have more space in my schedule, and I'd love to work with you and support you and help you with what you're opening to or what your soul's calling for in this new energy. And also, just if you need that support for your soul journey, I can support you there too. So thank you for being here. Have a beautiful day. Please subscribe, share, like, and that would be great support to my channel. Thank you.